No, as you're saying that, I was like,
wait. For all of those Dupee Deep listeners who may not be familiar,
them young chickens, them spring chickens who don't Google.
Get on Google.
Y'all gotta get on that Google and Google Luther Vandross.
Vandross. That's right. And get your whole life.
Whole life. And
get your whole life.
The song I was just butchering is A House Is Not a Home. Beautiful song, but it's to that same point when he was saying it's not about the chair, or a chair is still a chair even if there's no one sitting there, but a house is not a home if the two of us aren't there. And that's really the point of this. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're not using Valentine's as a way. Now I'm saying times.
You put a D
now
there,
I'm
Valentine.
Valentine. Valentine. Put a chain. What am I going on? If you're not using Valentine's as a way to reconnect and you're using it as a way to floss, that's cool. Like, I try to live outside of judgment. If you want to use it to floss, but then know what that means. I prefer to live my relationship for the person I'm in it with and not for what other people think. So I personally, for Valentine's, got my man some cilantro so he could make some mofongo. You know what I'm saying? He can get into
now,
that.
Is he making it for you or for him? Because if he's making it for you, then you really bought yourself a gift.
And that is the part where you're loving yourself. You're welcome. Full circle. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's not how it works. It's an FYI. It's not how it works.
I love you. I love you loving me. Here's some cilantro. Go make some mofongo. Now we're going to get this together. You see what it is? That's how it is. That's love. I'm being silly. But how I treat Valentine's is I don't do flowers and candy and stuff like that, because that's just, I've never been that person. I focus on, as you said, the experience and what this person wants or needs. So the first thing I do is I pay attention. You got to pay attention in your relationship to see what the other person is desires are, because people will tell you things sometimes in passing. You just want to make a note of that. And then when the time comes up, I just spring it on him, and it's like, wow. But it also says, I was listening to you. Not only that I love you and I cherish you and I honor you, but I pay attention to you. And so we've had some successful Valentines.
Aww.
Yeah. And yes, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I did say love is for losers. And that's because, Dupee Deep audience, I was a loser and I had no love. Because I was doing a lot of the same stuff. I was living external relationships. It was look at who I'm with and, just showboating, but not really wanting to deal with the person when you get back home. How are you all kiki with the person in the streets, but you get home, don't touch me, get off me, go away. Why are you over here? Like, that's not a relationship. And I was on that BS. You know how it is.
So what I would say, that's not a healthy relationship template for you. Right. And so I also want to be clear, different relationships operate in different ways. What I'm trying to talk about is recognizing when you are in a context, in a relationship that is feeding you, in which you feel, as Tomas just said, like when you feel acknowledged, when you feel cherished, when you feel attended to. The thing about it is that shouldn't be, it shouldn't take a whole lot of effort to do that, right? And so if you are expending a whole lot of effort to figure out what are the things that you might want to get your partner or do for your partners on this particular day, then that might be an indication that you haven't been tuning in enough, and that you might want to use the opportunity to be a hard reset, to come together and figure out how can we start to shift our day in and day out. Because I think that that's what happens a lot. Most of us live in a world in which we are pulled in a lot of different directions, where there are expectations of us and our performance in the workplace, or with taking care of other family members, trying to live your best life by going to the gym, drinking 64 ounces of water, being financially healthy, being spiritually, all the things that we think we need to do, right? To be our best selves. You're trying to do all those things, and you can get really caught up in the busyness of that and totally lose focus of your relationship or your partner, and maybe think about how you might want to use Valentine's Day as a way to kind of recalibrate and bring you back to some balance. But also, I continue to stand by this, the work of a relationship doesn't happen on holidays or special occasions. The work of a relationship happens on the day in and day out. And so maybe the Valentine's Day experience for you and your bae, boo thing, loved one, sweetheart, partner, lover, honeydew, shorty, wifey, hubby,
sugar plum,
sweetness,
yes. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, sweetness.
Maybe the gift is sitting down to figure out how you can intentionally reconnect and reconnect with and value one another for the rest of the year moving forward. So don't let Valentine's get you caught up. Let Valentine's get you loved up. How about that?
Ooh.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I see you trying to create a trending hashtag. Hashtag loved up.
Get yourself loved up. So that is one part of what I want to talk about, Tomas. So that's easy, right? You're in a relationship, you're in a space, you have a partner or partners, and you want to figure out how to celebrate this day.
Shout out to you for acknowledging the polyamorous with the partners, plural.
Of course, honey.
Shout out.
We're inclusive here at Dupee Deep. Right. This is a whole world out there. It's a world.
It's a world out there. It's a world. You better recognize it.
It is a world out there. But what about the folks who are not in a relationship? Those of us who have to splurge on ourselves because ain't nobody else splurging on us.
Hashtag thoughts and prayers.
You did not. I'm feeling kind of way. I'm laughing to keep from cussing you out right now. That's what that laugh. That was an anxious laughter right there. So we want to talk about Valentine's and singleness when we come back from our next little break. So we're going to talk about the other side of Valentine's Day when we get back.
Building relationships during recovery from mental and substance use disorders can put the strength of family and community behind you. We're all connected, offering encouragement, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Strengthen families and communities.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referrals for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
So the other side of Valentine's, for those of us who are single, and you know, every time I say that word, all I can think about is I'm living the single life. It was that long pause that would get me every time. Also, for you younger listeners, you go ahead and Google that cameo with a C.
But you know what? They'll know. Candy. Tastes like that.
I don't think so. I think we're just that old. I think that you are old enough to think that other people know what that is. But I bet there's a lot of people.
We're doing that for Valentine's Day. We're doing that.
We're doing
age humor. Okay.
We do that all the time. We're ages here. But no. So the other part about it is, which is why I think there's been this growing kind of anti-Valentine's Day sentiment that's growing, is recognizing that we live in a culture that puts a lot of societal pressure to be in a relationship. And specifically, we live in a heteronormative society that puts a lot of pressure for people to be in monogamous relationships. There's a lot of unspoken expectations to be in a relationship at a certain age as an indicator of maturity and adulthood. And when you don't kind of adhere to that standard, people question you. So I think there is a stigmatization that goes along with being single. And if there is one particular time of the year where that feels a little bit more onerous or highlighted more than anything, and it would be Valentine's Day, that you are kind of stick out as being the counter narrative at that point. And what I just want to make sure is we validate here for folks that being single is a valid choice, that you can be a fully functioning, interpersonally healthy, loving, balanced individual, a full grown up, and not be in a relationship. And that's okay. And that, though I think people do sort of tongue in cheek or maybe a little bit sarcastically talk about celebrating themselves on Valentine's or taking themselves out, I think that's a legitimate choice to treat yourself, to love on yourself. Listen, I'm all about the self-love. And I especially think on days such as Valentine's, where the expectations for being in love and in a relationship are heightened, it is a perfectly healthy choice to choose to reinvest in yourself. So now I'm talking and thinking like maybe I need to schedule the massage for myself to make sure that I feel loved and cared for.
And I was just going to say, to that point, I wouldn't be in the relationship I'm in now for the length of time I'm in now if I didn't do just that. If I didn't take time for myself, to learn myself, to get to know myself, to love myself, and to realize that I'm okay by myself. So that meant when I went into the relationship, I wasn't looking for someone to complete me or to make me feel or to make me happy. I was just looking for someone to share myself with, and who was willing to share themselves with me. And that's what I found. But I think it takes experience maybe to learn that, and takes time to get that. And I think everyone's journey based on their experiences is going to be a very individual journey. And I'd also say, and I don't say this because you're a psychologist and a therapist, but I'd also say, if you need help in that, don't be afraid to reach out for help, to reach out to a therapist and sit down and really dig into your stuff and say, why do I keep repeating the same patterns, dating the same type of person, falling into the same traps, not taking care of myself, prioritizing other people above me, and then ending up unhappy? Like those are legitimate questions that sometimes you can't figure out on your own. So Valentine's, I think, is a reflection for love in all ways, not just romantic or partner love.
All four. Well, for sure, because I got my kiddo I got her a little Valentine's gift, and I look forward to doing that every year. So it should be a celebration of love. And my mama told me this morning she put my chocolate in the mail today, so I'm looking forward to that too. So it is celebration of love. Also.
You got mail chocolate?
What? I got mail chocolate coming. Mail chocolate coming. But I want to clarify or maybe just push a little bit about something that you were saying. Absolutely, therapy can be used. Self-reflection can be used, self-improvement can be used, all to facilitate you having healthier relationships, period, and especially romantic relationships. There are plenty of folks that learn a lot about themselves in therapy to help them be a more attractive potential partner, a more functional potential partner, et cetera, et cetera. And I fully support that. And I also want to make sure we're clear in saying, and some people still choose not to be in a relationship, like that you are still valid if you are making a conscious choice to not be attached to a monogamous relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this whole concept of a person who's not interested in a relationship is a person who's asexual or aromantic. That's not the case. It is a complete valid choice. And I know people who've made that choice, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Right. So I don't think that we should. And that's why I said love all around, as opposed to go head on and get your mind right so that you can be in a relationship. No, I went and got myself right because I wanted to get right for me. It just so happened that after doing so, the benefit of that is I'm now in a place where I can be in a relationship. But it didn't mean I had to be, or the goal was to be. The goal was me taking care of